Hey everybody, Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon coming at you with a couple of malicious compliance stories. First one, I can find the email address on the website? Okay, if you say so. Let's jump right in. Wait, did you know that 92% of people who watch my videos aren't even subscribed to the channel? I ask you to subscribe, and we are doing a giveaway at 50,000 subscribers. Back to our story. This is without a doubt the best outcome possible from a bit of malicious compliance I could have achieved. I was only aiming to support my wife's good deed, but this paid me great dividends. This is a bit detailed as it covers a long span of backstory with a very rapid response once the malicious compliance was engaged in. The backstory. I had a shoulder injury for over a decade. When it occurred, I had an MRI and was told the cartilage was fractured and tendon torn. Whilst healthcare is free in my part of the world, the lack of income while I would be healing prevented me from doing anything until 2017 when I figured I had a well-paying job and plenty of sick leave available. So I started the ball rolling on getting it fixed. I was initially put through physio to try and fix the problem, or at least strengthen the shoulder. I completed the physio, and as expected, the shoulder was still an issue, albeit stronger now. Forward to the start of 2018 and I had an MRI. I was told I'd hear from them in a few weeks to have a review. 6 months later, after extensive nagging from my wife, I finally called the hospital to see what was happening. Nothing like being told that the case had been closed. After a few firm but polite words, my case was returned to the waiting list. Wife was happy, I was content to be back on the list, although rather confused that I'd been removed. So I waited, and waited, and waited. The setup. My wife is a loving woman, and I'm damn lucky to have her. After her nagging for me to chase it up falling on deaf ears, although this is also because my work hours make me unable to contact the hospital during their office hours, this tremendous woman decided to sort it out for me and find out what was happening. Example, am I still on the waiting list? After all, it was now almost 18 months since the MRI had been taken. My wife contacted the hospital and after being transferred a few times was connected to the right department. Unfortunately, she got stuck with an absolute Karen. The first response from Karen after hearing from my wife was to tell her she's not authorized to discuss the case with her. I've made it very clear in the past that my wife is authorized to act on my behalf. I could only assume later that this may have been due to the reactivation of my status via phone. My wife tried convincing her that she didn't require any details, all she wanted was for Karen to confirm I was still on the waiting list. Karen, however, wouldn't give up so easily and continued to block my wife's request. Could Karen call me to inform me of my status? No, blocked. Could Karen email me? Blocked. As you could imagine, my wife was getting a little frustrated by now. Finally, Karen did something useful. Since she wasn't going to contact me, I could contact her. My wife reminded her that calling during office hours wasn't possible. Karen countered, stating that's okay, he can email us. Thanks, Karen. What's the email address? There isn't any on our paperwork. That's okay, it's on the website. I have a paper and a pen, could you tell me the email address? It's on the website, you'll find it there. Whereabouts on the website? You'll find it on the website. I understand you're telling me it's on the website. What I'm asking is, where on the website is it? What should I be looking for? I told you it's on the website. At this point, my wife was frustrated and tired from trying to jump through Karen's hoops. She thanked Karen for her time and finished the call. Frustrated, my wife contacted the local member of parliament for advice on how to resolve the situation. During my evening drive, I was listening to my frustrated, annoyed wife. She regaled me with pointless call to the hospital and then her markedly better call with the local MP, member of parliament. I felt anger and annoyance. My wife had tried doing something lovely and had caught poor treatment from the hospital. My wife told me when I got home that she was going to write an email to the Minister of Health as that was the MP's recommendation. After a moment's thought, I told my wife no. The malicious compliance. I arrived home and told my wife that I was thankful for her time and effort, but it was alright, I would take care of the situation now, and I'm sorry that she'd had such a hard time that day. I opened my laptop and downloaded a program. This program is designed for marketing. It will scour through a website and pull any contact details, email address, name, title, contact numbers, etc., and compile them for people to then cold call employees of a company. I typed up an email detailing my case, history, being dropped off and returned to the waiting list, my concerns about the validity of an 18-month-old MRI for surgeons, and the supportive, albeit succinct advice from Karen. I identified her department and name-dropped her a few times in the email. Returning to my email spider program, I found a healthy 768 email addresses. After some thoughtful reflection, I removed any email address that didn't belong to the hospital, leaving me with a still rather healthy 300 plus email addresses. Copy, paste into the to field, then to continue to up my game, I CC'd in the Department for the Minister of Health, the Minister of Health, Shadow Department for the Minister of Health, Shadow Minister of Health, and then the local MP. I returned to my email and thanked the MP for their assistance, emphasizing how thankful I am as we are in the middle of an election. It's amazing how helpful politicians are around election time. I reread the email one more time to make sure I had captured everything I had wanted. It needed just one more item to highlight the importance of the email. I would like to thank Karen from Support Liaison for the limited support she was able to offer my wife, despite her not being apparently authorized. I would also like to thank Karen for her clearly perfunctory instructions that the email address I needed to contact was on the hospital website, albeit with no additional information as to the location of the email address. I had to do some searching. Having followed Karen's instructions, I have found this email on the hospital website. Admittedly, it is only one of the 319 at-hospital email addresses I found. I've presumed one of the remaining 768 email addresses not belonging to at-hospital is not the one I am after, although I'll assume no response from this email as an indication perhaps it is, or perhaps I should be trying the other hospital subdomains and associated websites. If for some reason Karen's instructions have resulted in this being inadvertently sent to the wrong email address, please forward this to the correct department or Karen from Support Liaison. I'm sure with her cursory instructions, she'll be able to direct this appropriately. With that little extra added, I smiled and hit send. As an amusing aside, I found over 3,000 email addresses when I included the subdomains. I should point out that the hospital is a large group of hospitals covering a large region. The outcome: Week 1. The following day I returned to work. In my lunch break, I did my usual catch up on emails, except I noticed I had a few calls too. 9:11, missed call. 9:18, missed call. 9:25, email 1. Dear OP, thanks for your feedback, and I just wanted to update you and let you know that I have spoken to your spouse and given her the following information at this point. I have logged your complaint and sent it to the head of unit for ortho and referral management for investigation and response. I can confirm that you are on the orthopedic waitlist and have been since 27/4/18. I have put a comment on our database under her details as emergency contact that states all information about appointments can be given to Mrs. OP as per direct permission from Mr. OP. I will follow up and escalate the complaint about lack of support given to your spouse by the patient relations coordinator she spoke to. I will keep your spouse and you updated on the outcome of the orthopedics appointment as soon as I am advised. I have a couple of questions I just need to ask you in relation to your concerns raised. Do you wish to have any response or outcome from hospital about this complaint relayed to the Office of Honorable Local MP? May I please have your permission to put your email address on our database? Please feel free to contact me if you wish to discuss anything further. Regards, not Karen. 11:23, missed call. An appointment had been booked. 1:16, email 2, appointment details. I received an additional 38 automated email responses and another 5 responses from various individuals and departments wishing to contact me. I responded to the email from the not Karen and stated that I did not believe the details needed to be relayed to the MP at this point in time. Week 2. I attended my orthopedic appointment. The expected 2 to 3 hour waiting room experience was a brief 30 minutes to see the surgeon. As expected, surgery was the outcome. I make my way to the desk to provide my details to be put on the surgical wait list. The nurse behind the counter makes a quip about it being a priority. That's strange. I'm not in urgent need for this. I've lived with it for the last decade. I get told I should have some details sent out to me in the next week or so detailing my priority. Week 3. I receive a call about my availability. Standard sort of stuff. Can I attend same day if they have a late cancellation? I need a few days at least to ensure transition for my work. On the Friday, I received some paperwork detailing that I am a priority 2, and should expect the surgery to occur sometime in the next 9 months. Week 4, Monday morning, 9:20, missed calls. 9:30, message from my wife, call me. I call her during my lunch break. As she answers the phone, I ask her, so when is my surgery? Week 5, Thursday morning, I get stabbed, jabbed, and arthroscoped. Kept in for observations and then released today on Friday, only to come home and submit my first Reddit post. Typing this one-handed has been a challenge. My wife received a call checking up on things and to inform her that Karen has undertaken a review of procedure and if my wife would like a formal apology from Karen. Whilst my wife was frustrated by her actions, an apology wasn't needed, knowing she had been updated on how to handle things so others wouldn't face a similar situation was enough for us both, not to mention my exceedingly short turnaround for surgery. This is a great story, but it has me wondering, if OP hadn't included the local politicians on that email and it just went out to a bunch of people at the hospital, do you think he still would have been bumped up on the list just as easily as he was? I think the politicians had a little bit to do with the expedition of the process. OP also edited the post with this at the end. As an amusing, concerning side note, the most interesting response I got from this was the sexual assault and family violence counseling service. It took them 2 days before they responded. Sure, my email had nothing to do with that, but if it had, a 2-day delay is a bit sad. On to our next story. Close all of your accounts? Sure thing. Let's jump right in. Hey everyone, long-time lurker, first-time poster. This malicious compliance comes from my time working at a bank in their contact center. I literally have hundreds of stories about that place and its customers, but today I'd like to share a story that has always brought a smile to many a suffering customer service coworker's face about the time we got one back for the good guys. Backstory. I was employed as a customer service officer. I'd been with the bank for about 18 months at this point, mostly working afternoon shifts, but recently the bank had moved to a 24-hour customer service model, so while most of the bank would be closed, head office, complaints, credit, etc., we were still open. Cast, me, night manager, customer, head of customer relations, and retentions. Let me set the scene. 10 p.m., midweek, fluorescent lights flickered overhead, the call board empty, and I'm literally counting the seconds left in my shift, ready to go home. Phone call pops onto my screen. I think, I always get a call just before I finish. Me, mustering my best customer service voice. Hi, thanks for calling, bank. You're speaking with OP. How can I help you? I hear nothing but dead air, so I start to repeat myself. Hi, you're speaking with... When I hear the tone of voice and words every contact center worker has heard at some point. It just lets you know you're in for a great call. Not. Yes, I'm here. God, what takes you people so long to answer? What are you doing? As noted before, there was no calls on the board. This customer didn't wait in queue. He would have dialed, gone through to the IVR to enter his customer number and PIN before being put through to me. Max 60 seconds. Trying not to provoke any further and get this customer off the phone as quickly as I can so I can go home. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Our system doesn't show a queue, but I'm sorry that you had to wait. What can I do for you this evening? Customer seems to settle down and starts explaining that the reason for the call was the interest charges on the most recent credit card bill. He was sure they were a mistake because I always pay my bills on time, and I don't like paying you bloodsuckers any more than I have to. Charming. I know, so I place him on hold to look at his account. I started looking at the payment history, when payments were due and received, what the balances were, etc. Then, I quickly looked at the customer's interaction notes. This is where the bank records any contact with the customer, as well as any fee waivers, special interest rates, etc. And I see an interesting series of notes from colleagues of mine, stating things like, customer advised interest was charged due to full payment not received by due date. Customer threatened to close all accounts with bank. Manager approved interest waiver. Notes like this went on for months, until there was a note from the head of customer relations and retentions stating, if customer threatens to close accounts to seek waiver of fees, interest, or other charges, please process immediately. No retention authorized. I was a bit shocked, because usually the bank would do a lot to keep existing customers. Like they told us in training, it's cheaper to keep a customer than it is to gain a new one. So I call over my night manager to read the notes and give him a heads up I've got a feeling the customer is going to be demanding another interest waiver. My cool night manager said, well, if he does, do what the note says. Total hold time, maybe 2 minutes. I take the customer off hold and thank him for waiting. About time, my time is very valuable, you know. So, have you fixed it yet? I start explaining that the interest charges are valid because he didn't pay off his balance before the due date. He goes ballistic. He starts calling me every conceivable name under the sun and mid-sentence stops. He plays it like he's just had an idea. Fine, if the interest charges are valid, I'm gonna close my accounts. I want to close my accounts with you now. At this point, I'm excited about putting him in his place, but I also want to cover my ass, so I say, so, just to be certain, you are instructing me to close all of your accounts with us, including your credit card, savings account, and transactional account. Are you stupid? That's what I said. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Grinning my ass off. Okay, no problems. I'll just place you on hold to do that for you. I hit the hold button fast, just as I heard him say, no, With my night manager's help, we close his accounts. His savings account was a term deposit, so by breaking the term early, he had to pay an early access fee of 10% of the balance. We used the money in his transactional account to cover the outstanding balance in his credit card, including the interest, and sent a request for a check to be issued for the remaining money. I took the customer off hold. Again, thank you for your patience. As requested, your accounts are now closed. Was there anything else I can help you with tonight? If I thought the customer went ballistic before, oh boy, there was talk of suing the bank, suing me, suing my night manager, suing head of customer relations and retentions, that we were guilty of discrimination, that I didn't have the authority to do what I did. He's going to call the police. We're thieves. Some other ways of telling me how useless I am and how I can kill myself. You get the picture. Still smiling because I know I, nor anyone else at my bank will have to deal with this asshole again. Sir, I understand you're upset. However, on a recorded phone call, you instructed me to close your account. I've complied with your wishes. As there is nothing else for us to speak about tonight, thank you for calling bank. Have a good night. And hung up on him before he could say another word. My night manager created an incident report and sent it to head of customer relations and retentions with an attached copy of the call recording. I later found out head of customer relations and retention sent the customer a letter telling him he was banned from our bank for life due to the vile and disgusting way he had spoken to me. We would never do business with him ever again, and if he called or visited a branch, we would be the ones calling the police. Do you want to know what the total interest charges were that started all this? $30. His term deposit had $20,000 in it. He cost himself $2,000 in early exit fees because he thought he could bully his way out of $30 in interest. After doing 8 years of call center work myself, I have so many different stories I could tell you about customers very similar to the one in this story. However, one thing we always look forward to in the call center was being able to go against the rules a little bit, like OP did in this situation, and get that customer out of our hair. It is a wonderful feeling. I want to thank the OPs for both of these stories for giving me permission to narrate them, and you can visit them at the links in the description below. Please go there and give them an upvote on Reddit itself. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comic Chameleon. I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I ask you to consider subscribing, dropping a like, and sharing it with your friends. We'll see you in the next one.